Alright, so this marks the first of many ranking videos that I'm going to be doing throughout the rest of the year as it is coming to a close, and that is what us YouTubers do at this time. And today we're going to be taking a look at the strongest attacks in One Punch Man, just like the 10 best, I'll say. So, this list was a little more difficult than what I originally thought it was going to be because it gets pretty subjective pretty fast due to like the ambiguity of how powerful these outrageous attacks are. So let me also mention that, like, I'm going to be looking at, like, the absolute strongest stuff we have seen. So things like the Atomic Slash, unfortunately, are not going to be making this list. Now, granted, of course, it's one of the best, one of the strongest, but you'll understand why it's not quite making the cut after I get into the meat of this list. Also, I have to go into webcomic spoiler stuff for a few of the things that we're going to be talking about. So if you don't want to know what's going to happen after the manga currently, I suggest you check out now. So let me also go into some anomalies right now before we go into the top 10. So first of all, the abandonment, that is technically not really an attack, it's like a power-up, and it's also a byproduct of the Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist, so let me add that in there. That is a style. These are just talking about attacks in this video, so I just wanted to mention those. And also the King Style Energy Wave Ultimate Hellfire Burst Wave Motion Cannon. This, of course, in theory, is probably the strongest thing in the series. Maybe, maybe not, but it doesn't really do anything. So maybe it was just a dud at that time, or maybe I'll just talk about this in my How Powerful is King video, but I just don't really want to have it on this list because it doesn't really have any tangible effects to it as of yet. So number 10, the Flashy Slash. And this was difficult because after this, it'll get more apparent as to what the most powerful attacks are. So I basically just wanted to rank this over all of the other S-Class stuff that we've seen, such as the Atomic Slash. And that's mainly because it is faster than that, and maybe just maybe more powerful. Now, of course, it's super debatable, and like I said at the beginning, it's all subjective, but I feel that the Flashy Slash is among the most elite attacks or techniques in the series. I mean, it just cut through 2 dragon-level monsters like butter, and its speed is probably the fastest thing that we have seen so far outside of what, like, Saitama, Awakened Garo, and Boros are doing, essentially, so I feel that it should be here. Number 9, the Roaring Aura Void Ripping Fist. This is a joint attack used by Bang and Bomb, combining the Whirlwind Iron Cutting Fist and the Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist, and this thing was so powerful that it knocked back a charging Elder Centipede and broke his freaking carapace. It, like, straight up rocked Elder Centipede. This is one of the most powerful things we have seen so far. Only the most powerful attacks could really do something to Elder Centipede the way that this did, so I feel that it should make the top cut. Number 8, the Cross-Fang Dragon Slayer Fist. So just like the previous attack we talked about, this is also a joint technique using the Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist and the Whirlwind Iron Cutting Fist, and this is implied to be like the strongest martial arts attack that there is. Like, if you could perform this, you're at the apex of power. I mean, if you're not Awakened Garo, of course. And we see this used by Bang and Bomb against Overgrown Rover, which damages him but doesn't really put him away. And then we see it used by Garo against Orochi, but then successfully against Darkshine, who this just destroys, both mentally and kind of physically as well. Number 7, released Boros' Internal Energy Blast. So yeah, this thing at number 7 might be a little controversial, but I didn't want to put it too high because I gotta pay respects to the others below him, but this thing is crazy powerful just for being released Boros, but that's not saying anything lightly. He's ridiculous in himself, and this is just a little taste of what he's capable of, but just this one blast is so powerful that it essentially destroyed the entire top of his spaceship, I guess, and we all know how big the spaceship is. I mean, just the top of it is probably as big as, I don't know, like a 16th of a city or something like that. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but that area of effect right there is outrageous, and not many things are capable of doing that, nor have really proven to be that powerful. Like, that's what really separates this attack from most of the others, even on this list ahead of his, because we don't really see as accurately what they're capable of doing, such as with this one. Number 6, the Millennium Emperor Nova. So yeah, like I said, difficult to rank because, like, is this stronger than Boros' released energy? Really hard to say. They both have different displays of damage and power, but aesthetically, this thing is incredible, so I just want to do Child Emperor a favor here and put him at number 6 and not too low on the list. So the thing that's really holding this back, other than its outrageous display of damage and volume that it's able to produce, is that it didn't take out Phoenix Man. Like, he was able to absorb, a good portion of it, not all of it, obviously, but it kind of just microwaved portions of his body. And I think that, could he do this to Boros? Maybe, maybe not. But still, Phoenix Man surviving this is kind of giving us a good indication of how powerful this thing is. Number 5, the Godslayer instant attack. So is this stronger than all of the other attacks we talked about so far? Probably, because it's implied to be like the strongest move that a Wakigaro can perform, and we see it, you know, kind of mess up Saitama, you know, at least for being Saitama, that is, and considering what has messed him up before, I use mess up lightly. And this move can kind of like struggle or at least compete with normal punches from Saitama. I mean, go take a look at it for yourself. This thing is outrageously powerful, and while it's not like a beam, but I think it could probably replicate the same amount of damage or just do more concentrated damage, if that makes sense. Number 4, Orochi's full-powered blast. So, is this stronger than the Millennium Emperor Nova and Boros' internal energy blast? Not sure, but probably, given how powerful Orochi is and him earnestly trying with this blast, like the one-armed attack, we'll talk about the other one, but just that full-powered blast is insane. We also have to remember how big Orochi is. He's way bigger than Boros and way bigger than Brave Giant. So imagine just how bigger that attack is than their other beam cannon. We don't really get to see like its area of damage compared to what we saw with Boros's, but it just cuts through that underground path, like into the subway system and all of that, easily. Now, if this was like shot on the surface, of course, we would get a better indication of how overpowered this thing is, but I'm just going to take a guess and say that it's probably can cause way more destruction than what just one of Boros's released internal energy attacks could do. Now, when he goes like all of his dragon mounds and cannons all firing at once, that's probably like way more powerful than the Millennium Emperor Nova, like way more powerful. And unfortunately, we only see him really shoot the ground with this thing, and we don't see what it's capable of doing, or we just don't see the after effects of it. But if we could just compare one of his full power blasts from his arms compared to everything he has, this thing is, I don't know, I'm surprised it didn't like shoot the core of the earth, honestly. Number 3, Saitama's normal punch. And we'll just throw consecutive normal punches in there too, because I don't want to flood the list with Saitama's moves. But yeah, you might be saying, wait, number 3, Saitama's normal punch. Well, after this, it'll make sense. But this thing really speaks for itself. I mean, he's destroyed 99.9% of the people he's faced with just one of these things, including Orochi. And that's why I'm just going to put it above Orochi's full power blast, because while it doesn't really have the same area of effect that one of Orochi's full powers blast does, but we do get to see what it's capable of, because like when he's training against Genos, he throws it, you know, past his face, and it annihilates that rock face behind him. So maybe the area isn't as great, but just the concentrated power of it is probably greater than that, and that's why also I wanted to put the Godslayer instant attack where it was, because it's not all really about volume, it's really just like the quality of it rather than quantity. Number 2, the Collapsing Star Roaring Cannon. So yeah, this thing is probably stronger than a normal punch from Saitama, you know, considering what Saitama had to do to take it out, which we're going to talk about, obviously, but this is probably the strongest thing that anyone outside of Saitama is capable of doing in the series, at least currently. Way stronger than what we have seen Wakigaro capable of doing, at least in the webcomic. It remains to be seen in the manga, but it's also the only confirmed planet-busting attack we know of. And yeah, I don't really care what translation you read about this move. It's a planet buster, and that's pretty darn impressive just for really any battle manga series. I mean, I know it's probably not that grand compared to Dragon Ball, but most of the other Tame series. It's outrageous, so it's definitely going to be like number 2 on this list. I mean, come on. Number 1, you guessed it, Saitama's Serious Punch. This is by far the strongest thing we have ever seen in the series, and likely will ever see, unless he does like some kind of other crazy serious move by the end of the series, maybe like consecutive serious punches or something like that. Maybe I'll make a video about that. It's a pretty intriguing subject, but also I'm aware that he has like the serious headbutt and the serious table flip and stuff like that, but like I said, I didn't want to flood the list with his stuff, so just the Serious Punch here. This thing is so powerful that just essentially the force of it knocked away the Collapsing Star Roaring Cannon, which we established is a planet buster, so in all likelihood, just one of these can probably destroy the planet, maybe even easily. I mean, just like the aftershock of this thing split like half of the clouds on the planet. like pretty much like the atmosphere almost. This thing just, I don't know, shooting into the wind can almost cause like nuclear winter. It's it's the same thing with the Collector's Armory Cannon. It's insane for almost any battle manga, and this is just a darn punch. Like, man. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Let me know what you thought about this one. Did I miss any, or would you have others on this list that I didn't? Also, are you angry that I didn't have the Atomic Slash on here? Like I said, it's just not competing with these other outrageous moves. And I do respect Atomic Samurai, guys. It's one of my favorites. I love him just as much as anybody else, but we gotta, you know, kind of move aside for the other big boys. But let me know what you thought about this one, and if you liked it, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. Gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And like I said, I'm going to be doing other ranking videos throughout the final weeks that we have in this year. So if you want to be caught up on those and see them when they release, please subscribe. And most importantly, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.